Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. Today's fitness myth number 9 is that fruits cause fat gain. Interesting. Let's find out if it's true. So first, what is the actual nature of the claim more specifically? Well, a lot of people just stop right there. If you eat fruit, you're going to get fat. But some of the smarter ones will say that, well, fructose is bad, especially bad for health and liver values and blood markers and inflammation, and you should stay away from it. And because fruits have fructose in them, then you probably should stay away from fruits as well. Generally how we hear that one, fine. All right, why is it wrong? Why is it a myth? Well, direct studies on long-term high fructose diets do not seem to indicate predictable weight gain and predictable fat gain. So, at least the fat and weight gain stuff doesn't seem to add up a whole lot. Now, one of the reasons for that is because if you take in higher fructose, at first there's a hunger dysregulation mechanism potentially, especially with very high amounts, but then that tends to subside as leptin sensitivity goes up. And leptin is generally a hormone that makes you feel full. So if you're more sensitive to it, then you feel more full given the same amount of food. And in fact, chronic high fructose feeding may actually suppress food intake in the long term. And the long term being weeks. So they've done a few studies that are pretty good, and they just can't reliably say, okay, you're going to for sure gain fat if you eat fructose or a diet high in fructose. However, there is a group of studies in which people do gain fat on fructose high diet, but those are almost always when fructose heavy drinks, liquid carbs, are added to the diet. And correlational studies show that people that drink fructose heavy drinks, every kind of fruit juice you can think of, and of course every kind of soda that's not diet, they have the worst health outcomes. And here's the thing, we're saying, okay, fructose is bad in excess in sugary beverages. That's a big maybe, and in fact, probably a yes. But what about fresh fruits? Can you excessively consume fresh fruits and then your fructose consumption is something that the medical community would determine as potentially not great for you? And the answer is almost certainly not, right? So more specifically, the opposite is shown. That in analysis after analysis, people who eat more fresh fruit as a percentage of their diet are almost always leaner and healthier. And in fact, the introduction or pushing through of more fresh fruits into diets that don't typically have as many, usually and predictably in randomized control trials, leads to reductions in body fat and weight and an improvement in health parameters. Because if you're saying fruits are bad, but then in the population, people who eat more fruit tend to be healthier. And also, if we make typically regular healthy people eat more fruit and they get more healthy, gee whiz, that's not selling the whole argument of fruits are bad all that well. As a matter of fact, it's selling quite the opposite argument. There is a mechanistic reason, many mechanistic reasons for why this could be. One is that fruit is incredibly filling for the number of calories it has. So if you said to yourself, that's it, man, I'm going to go volunteer to be on the show My 600-Pound Life. I'm going to be 600 fucking pounds. Watch me work, but I'm going to do it with fruit, fresh fruit. How many oranges and peaches are you going to eat until you don't want to eat anymore? I don't know, like 5? All right, 10, fine, 30. That I would like to see you maintain for a few days, especially keeping your colon intact. It's just not a thing. When people get hyper obese and hyper poor health, it's not by overeating fruits, but we do know what it is and why they get there. So here are the grains of truth to the fruits thing with the fructose part. When people eat freely and on top of that consume fructose-laden beverages, they get significantly more abdominal obesity and negative health markers versus even if they take in a glucose-based shake with the same number of calories. The margin is small, but it's there. So excess calories that are super easy to take in, not great. And when those excess calories are made of a large fraction of fructose, marginally even worse than that. If dietary fructose is really high, you can get negative metabolic consequences for sure. Insulin resistance, high triglycerides, high inflammation levels via uric acid, long list. But in order to get there, you usually have to consume a crap load of dessert foods that are, I don't want to say artificially sweetened, sweetened extra, with the addition of sucrose or fructose. Sucrose is tons of fructose in it, by the way. So these cakes and cookies and stuff like that and ice creams, yeah, they help make you fatter. I don't think that's news to anyone. And of course, sugar-laden drinks help make you fatter and less healthy as well. But fresh fruits themselves are not even close to that. So here's the recommendation, bottom line. Consume as many fresh fruits as you like. If this leads to negative health, you may be a subject of a one-person study. The government experts and shit will be looking at you all weird because you may be the first person to have ever ruined your health eating fresh fruits. Okay. However, because we learned a little something today about refined sugars added to the diet, especially fructose, I would keep refined sugar beverages to a minimum or to zero. It's not a religious thing. If I see someone drinking a glass of orange juice, I'm not thinking, oh my God, what an idiot. I'm thinking, truth be told, if they're of normal looking body composition and they seem to be healthy, I'm like, well, maybe their health is fine. It's okay to have a glass of orange juice every now and again. It's totally cool. If they're on the high end of the obesity spectrum, I automatically know that if they stopped drinking sugary beverages, they would almost certainly lose a lot of weight and improve their health. So I'm kind of like, what is it there that you're doing? Nothing good, right? These refined sugar beverages, sodas and juices, are the ones that add tons of calories. They add plenty of fructose, maybe even on the excessive end that hurt your metabolism independently of the weight gain. And they really cause almost no hunger reduction whatsoever. Okay, when you're super hungry and you need to knock hunger off for a while, let's say you're dieting, and you have the choice between eating 3 peaches or a thing of, orange juice, or 3 oranges or a thing of orange juice, same macros, same amount of carbs. You drink a glass of orange juice, 30 minutes to an hour later, you're going to be like, fuck, I want to eat. You eat 3 oranges and 2 hours later, you're like, ugh, I don't know, I'm still digesting them because the fiber in there and the water content and the volume and all those things combine to make fresh fruit way more filling, and sugary beverages don't have that. So if someone was to ask me, hey, is fruit juice healthy? I would say in some contexts, absolutely. But as a general recommendation, most people in the modern Western world, especially if they struggle with their weight, probably should be keeping fruit juice and soda consumption to a minimum, which means you can have all the diet soda you want in the world, but regular sugar soda is probably not that great. And if you are trying to mass up and get jacked, there is a propensity for fructose, especially in very high levels, to be stored a little bit more as fat and cause some not so nice metabolic consequences. Not a huge deal, but a deal. So I would say it's probably good if you want extra carbs, maybe to stay a little bit away from taking in like orange juice with meals or something, and potentially switching to a mass gainer shake that has glucose or dextrose, as it's also called outside of the body, and maltodextrin, which breaks down into glucose, as carb sources because they're going to give you all that anabolic push and all of that extra calorie and carbohydrate, but minus some of that really excessive fructose stuff. On a mass gaining phase, you absolutely still can eat as many fruits as you like. It's the drinking it that really gets you the high fructose dosages that cause a concern. Folks, if I didn't answer anything, let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do YouTube things. See you next time.